Obedience is the very best way to show that I believe. Doing exactly what the Lord commands and doing it happily. Action is the key, do it immediately, and joy you will receive. Obedience is the very best way to show that you believe. Let's spell it. O-B-E-D-I-E-N-C-E. Obedience. Obedience is the very best way to show that we believe. Let's see what this obedient child, Uche, did in this story. Don't go away. The title of our story today is An Obedient Child. An obedient child. Once upon a time, there lived an obedient child, a very obedient child indeed. He was so obedient that he never failed the least instructions. He was the second child in the family of 3 children. His key words were to do exactly what was commanded of him by God and man, and to do it happily. And one thing, he was an action boy, always ready and zealous for good works. He read and applied the scripture in the book of 1 Timothy 4 verse 12. Let no one despise your youth, but be you example of believers in speech and action. His Bible was the best friend, and the book of Proverbs was his favorite book of the Bible. His good heart brought him great love from his parents, teachers, and fellow pupils. At 11, he was bigger than his age mates. He grew well in stature and knowledge, having favor before God and man, like Jesus. Uche was so obedient that he never left his classwork and homework undone. He did perfectly well. He happily did a lot of domestic chores at home because they had no house help. Of course, he was a member of the junior church. Everybody that saw Uche nodded in appreciation of his wonderful behaviors. He never came late to church or school because to him, lateness was an act of disobedience. The heart of the parents rejoiced in him. The father could not give any serious instructions at home without making sure that Uche was around, because he would be the one to inspire other members of the family to do exactly as the instruction came. If anything got missing or spoiled at home, Uche must be needed to give an accurate account of the loss or waste. Not only was Uche obedient, but careful, honest, and respectful. Every parent wanted his child to be Uche's closest friend. At school, his teachers would always use him as a great and good example to other children. Most times, they would sit him in between 2 pupils that may not be so wonderful in character, so that Uche's good behavior would influence them positively. He never allowed any bad behavior to change his good behavior. He was ready to preach Jesus to any child going astray. In fact, if any new pupil was admitted in the school, more especially in his class, Uche's target would always be to win that pupil to Christ. Uche's act of obedience came to a climax. One day, he was instructed by his mom to look after a heavy load that was kept in the house by somebody until the owner comes to carry it. The instruction was for him never to leave the house for any reason. But not so long, his mom left the house. An urgent need that necessitated the immediate attention of the mother arose. Being alone at home that day, he thought of what to do. Wow. Remember, the instruction was not to leave the load for any reason till the owner comes. Since he did not want to disobey his mom, he carried a big load with a heavy weight and trucked to his mom. And when she saw him, she was amazed and asked him why. Uche's reply was that he did not want to disobey her, and since he must come to deliver the message to his mom, he had no other option than to stress himself to carry the load. The mom heaved a sigh and did not know what else to say. She now helped Uche to carry back the load and still attended to the urgent need at home. Hey, kiss. This sounds funny, right? But that shows the extent of his obedience. Did not the Bible say, if you are willing and obedient, you eat the good of the land? Yes, the Bible said it. If you're willing and obedient, you would eat the good of the land. Uche's obedience kept his picture constantly on the best behaved child and best in academics on the class performance charts. At the end of each school year, that's during the end of year graduation party and prize giving day, he does not go home with less than 3 prizes, which must sometimes be tuition fees. Imagine. The junior church was not exempted from his prize giving, for Uche kept winning prizes as the best behaved child in church and as one that never forget any topic and memory verses. However, there's just one thing Uche refused to do, and that was eye service or partial obedience. Eye service means trying to behave well or do good, but when you think nobody is watching you, you go back to your bad ways, forgetting that God sees you anytime, anywhere. In fact, I call that not being real or being fake. As for Uche, he was real and not fake, doing exactly what he was supposed to do, not minding if somebody was watching him or not. I call this boy obedience. God's baby, wonderful boy. An example. I do not know what you want to call him yourself. Hey, that's interesting, dear kids. If you want to be like Uche, gaining all these good names for yourself and receiving all these good prizes, simply pray to God to come into your heart. Confess your bad ways of disobedience and eye service to Him, and pray for a change of heart. If you have done this prayerfully, you are now a new creature because you have invited Jesus into your heart. Remember, it's only when Jesus is into a child's heart that he will behave like Uche. I told you earlier that Uche is a Christian and a member of the junior church. Join this group today. Remain an example, and God bless you. Questions. Write 3 names Uche won for himself. 2. Summarize the climax of Uche's obedience.